So I really do like the Yorkshire Post. They've got some really good writers on staff. They have consistently gotten so many things right about what is going to happen to Brexit, and really focused on the consequences of Brexit on this region. And to be honest, it's never made good writing. That's why we've often had in the past. Oh, hang on. We've had these wonderful snippets from the paper. If you remember back far, one guy even saying that this whole Brexit fiasco is just Germany somehow managing to get revenge for losing 2 world wars. So, no, I don't want to join the WWF. Go away. So, that's so annoying. Here we have Greg Wright, and Greg Wright has written a really good piece in the Yorkshire Post pertaining to, hang on, when it loads, we had it, and then the WWF decided that it wanted to try and, get me to sponsor a panda. Greg Wright, the trickle-down economics has ruined the North's rail system. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. The moment an overseas visitor steps off the plane, they are judging a nation, which is true. Visitors to Yorkshire are being driven to distraction by our pitiful public transport system, and unless things improve, investors will head to other countries, where developed powers have created transport networks that enable goods and staff to move with minimal fuss. A functioning transport network is the surest sign that the wheels of commerce are running smoothly. Any foreign investor who is sucked into the chaos that has crippled large sections of the north of England's railway network will draw some bleak conclusions about our economic health. A trip to Bavaria provided an opportunity to see what can happen when the dots are all joined together. After months of being subjected to chaotic, cramped train systems in Yorkshire, it was refreshing to visit a place where in general the trains ran on time and passengers were treated like valued customers and not cattle. Few places in the world have faced greater upheavals over the last century than Nuremberg and its neighbouring towns. But the city has emerged from the chaos of war with a transport system that is far superior to anything I have encountered in the British provinces. I enjoy travelling on clean, uncluttered trains that always arrive and depart on time. These trains form part of a seamless public transport system, which connects the air, bus and rail network and respects the needs of all passengers. In Germany, it seems to be much easier for people with disabilities to use the train, and that is true. I mean, I feel sorry for anyone who is disabled and living in London and has to rely on the tube, because the tube, if you have to get anywhere by tube, it is impossible if you are disabled. The tube network is not disabled friendly at all. By contrast, it must be virtually impossible for anyone in a wheelchair to use some of the horribly overcrowded services we encounter at peak times in Yorkshire. Woe betide the wheelchair-using passenger who hopes to get on a train at Guernsey, one of the most popular commuter stations into Leeds, when the train chaos is at its height. So why has Germany... oh dear. So why has Germany managed to get it right, when the UK has got it so terribly wrong? In Germany, there appears to have been a political will and a vision to invest in public transport across the nation. Whitehall has been too arrogant to listen to provincial voices. Siemens in Chimes, I think that's how you say it. Chimes in London have always taken schemes in London. That's how you, sorry, wrong word there. Schemes in London have always taken a priority, and the North has been lumbered with a creaking system of unworthy of a major world economy. The Bavarian rail system is a model of sleek efficiency when compared with our crumbling network. Bigger cities such as Munich, Nuremberg integrate buses, trams and the U-Bahn. that's the underground, and the S-Bahn, which is subterranean trains, into a single network. In Germany, train companies are innovators who understand their wider economic role. For example, the railway company Deutsche Bahn has introduced an autonomous bus to drive passengers around a programmed route in Bavaria. The German broadcaster DW reported that Deutsche Bahn hopes to start operating a fleet of buses that will travel to passengers' homes on demand and bring them to the station oh dear, on time for their train. Can anyone imagine Northern Rail or Transpennine Express having the vision to introduce a service like this? But why does this matter? Shouldn't we accept our fate in the transport slow lane? If we do, we are surrendering to a system that has been skewed against the British regions for decades. This point was reinforced by Gina Miller, the businesswoman whose legal action forced parliamentary to vote on a withdrawal from the EU. She believes that devolution is the best way to bring real change to Britain. Trickle-down economics has not worked for the UK. She told me when she attended the Forward Ladies finals in Leeds. The centralisation of finances and policy in Westminster has not worked for our country. But we don't need to be victims of this flawed system. We can push for change by insisting our MPs stand up and campaign for measures to devolve decision-making over transport to the regions. It's our best hope for leaving a sparkling first impression. And that's really not only the story of the Yorkshire Rail Network, but the entire British Rail Network. And as I have said before, when it comes to comparing not just the ease of travel for not only disabled people but non-disabled people as well, the price for getting on a train is incredibly ridiculous. I am having to travel to Edinburgh in a couple of months' time. It has cost me, for a single return, over £150 just for one ticket. That is ridiculous. Now, when I had my student rail card, I could get that £150 down to about 80. That is incredible. And this is one of the reasons why I miss my rail card so much, and why I wish they would introduce a full-on proper rail discount card. Now, there were earlier this year, they released, for some reason, we're going to release a trial to see how it goes. Those first 10,000 rail passes were gone in under an hour. And to think that our own rail transport and the people who are running our transport system can't even seem to think that an idea to give a pass to people who use the trains on a regular basis, to give them money off, to encourage them to use more trains more often, which would then put more money in their pocket. As stated there, you've got Deutsche Bahn, who is vastly thinking forward and putting, a driverless, route on so that people can catch their trains. In the UK, there is not even a systemised network to get buses to integrate with trains, or to be, there's just not that thinking there in place. And this is one of the things I've said for the longest time about the big problems of the UK at the moment, is we are looking at short-term goals, not long-term. Politicians would rather invest in a programme that is going to last maybe 1 or 2 years, rather than one that's going to last 6 to 10. And that's what we need in this country. We need that long-term planning, that long-term solutions to get things off the ground, up and running. But it's our politicians that don't seem overly interested in doing this, which is the frustrating thing. And I've been to Germany, I've been to the Netherlands, I've been to France, and I've seen their rail network. I've seen that it is, good and functional in a way that ours just doesn't even come close to. But there you go.